So hello everyone, my name is Costanza Tremante and I am a a graduate student at NYU Wagner. And I was this past Urban Fellow for Paisaje Transversal in Madrid, Spain, where I worked on integrative urban regeneration projects in Madrid, Spain. It's not working. Okay. So, who is Paisaje Transversal? Paisaje Transversal is a urban firm in Madrid, Spain, where they prioritize citizen participation, and they do this by having a methodology where it's designing cities with people, and it prioritizes what the people want, the wants and needs of the people within a city. And their main motto is to listen and to transform cities. So this summer, I was able to work on two projects. The first project, I wrote a paper for a symposium, basically explaining how Paisaje Transversal has been able to use gamification, which I will explain later, through their regeneration projects. And then the second project, I researched vulnerable communities in Madrid, Spain, and how they're coping with COVID-19. That's me. So the first project, Gamification to Urban Regeneration. So this was a paper that I wrote representing Paisaje Transversal, explaining how they have been using the gamification approach in neighborhoods across Spain. And they do this by including citizens to be engaged in a game that will foster their future knowledge about their respective neighborhood. So they have been doing this with neighborhoods like Virgen de Begoña and City of Olot. And I will explain one example because they have a lot. So the first game, it's Trivio de Burgos. So this served as more an introduction to the neighborhood, like history and local geography, where citizens were able to engage and know more about their neighborhood and know about the challenges that they're facing and how they can help in a smaller scale. And this game revealed a lot of issues, and Paisaje Transversal was able to conclude solutions for this neighborhood, which they were able to then explain to the city of Madrid how they can help. So a lot of things that popped up were public space optimization, economic reactivation, and urban edge creation. So I just want to say that this project was very interesting just because I didn't expect to have a presentation in a symposium in Europe. It was all online, but it was just very interesting because there were countries from around Europe that were able to attend the symposium, and these are examples that they can use within their own respective communities and how they can engage within their own citizens and local businesses and stuff like that. And the second project I worked on, so this was one of the main research project. It was looking at vulnerable communities in Madrid, Spain, and how they're coping with COVID-19. So the two most vulnerable communities in Madrid, Spain is Lavapiés and Tetuan. And fortunately, I was able to go to Spain, and I was looking at them in a first-hand perspective. And my main two questions in this research was what made them vulnerable and how they're coping with COVID-19. So a quick little summary about these two neighborhoods. Both of them, they were just cramped up neighborhoods where a lot of immigrants from the past century came because of low rents, and they just basically all emerged into these two areas. And that is what we classify them as vulnerable, because they were low income, and also their median household income was 11,000 euros a year, which is 10,000 $8 a year here, I think. And looking at COVID-19 in Lavapiés, one of the neighborhoods, was very interesting because COVID-19 basically exacerbated all of their past inequalities. And on June 30th, the citizens, they were able to do a rally and a march where they demanded gentrification, like an end to gentrification, poverty, and racism. So it was very interesting to be able to look at this and see how they were able to go out in the midst of a pandemic when Spain hasn't been able to give their citizens vaccines. So there was a huge peak. So it was just very interesting. And COVID-19 in Tetuan, I think I was able to go to this neighborhood, and it was very interesting because these are pictures that I took. COVID-19 was increasing very tremendously in this area, and some of the reasons was they relied a lot of local businesses, and these local businesses got very hit, they got hit by COVID in a very bad way, and the families had to look for other means of financial. So they looked at other jobs, they talked to other people, and they got COVID, and then they brought back COVID to their families, and COVID spread. Another thing is that they had a lot of informal housing. You can see to the picture on the right, they would just expand on their houses, and this was a very easy target for the pandemic to spread. So what's next? Paisaje Transversal prepared 10 proposals, which explained how cities in the future can combat COVID-19. But I think these three were the most important ones for these two neighborhoods. Number one, guaranteeing public service. I think this was one of the most important ones because when I went to Spain, not everyone was fully vaccinated, and sometimes we take that for granted. And even just access to healthcare, they didn't have that access at all. So I think that's one of the most important ones that the city of Madrid should prioritize. The second one was financial support packages. I think this was very important for the low-income communities and for the local businesses that just ran out of opportunities because of COVID. And third, generation equality. I think it's very important to hear what people have to say, especially the young, the youth, and how they are going to the rallies and explaining their inequalities and their experiences. And I think those are the main three things that the city of Madrid should prioritize to make a more equitable city. And I just want to thank everyone for coming, and for my fellows for just having such an amazing environment and for supporting me and everything. So, and Connor, Sam, thank you so much.